Welcome to Richdiet Podcast, the space for creators, culture shifters, and visionaries. I'm your host, Aaron Bills.
Zico, you already know.
And we're so glad you're tuning in as we share game, knowledge, and, we feed the mind. We speak our mind. And the whole purpose is to what? Enrich
the culture.
The culture. And we have a very special brother, a talented brother that invited us to take part in this creative space. And to be honestly, I'm honored to be here.
Likewise, man.
You know what
just
I'm saying?
Seeing everything, I wish we could. We'll show you some B-rolls after. But
Yeah.
it just looks sick. I walked in, I was like, "What is that? Like a stadium? This is sick.
This is dope.
Stadium for artists. That's what it is. It's
a stadium for artists. And before we even give any artist their spotlight, we have to just give you your spotlight. Welcome to the Richdiet Podcast, Joel. How you feeling today, brother?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, first of all. I might be honest, the one thing that I expected at Rich Diet, it was some rich snacks. I wanted some hors d'oeuvres.
Snacks.
You know what I'm saying? It's Rich Diet.
We got you next time.
Don't worry.
Fiji water.
Fiji water. Don't worry. We'll make sure we have some caviar.
Yeah.
Some Fiji water. But Rich Diet is more than just the looks. It's more about elevation. It's about uplifting the mind, high vibration.
Preach, yeah.
Yeah,
that.
and the things these type of spaces, us talking is kind of we're feeding each other knowledge, we're giving each other game.
Facts.
And we're here today at this event called FilltheBlnk.
FilltheBlnk, yeah.
I always say fill in the blank.
Don't worry, you're not the only one.
Wait,
I love
fill
it.
in the blank or
It's
fill the blank?
Fill
the blank.
Right.
But everybody says fill in the blank, but I love that because it's the best brands that I know, people always mess up the names.
Yeah.
There's always you remember when the Weekend was coming out and people were kind of yo, what's the Weekend? And then just that alone is a conversation piece. So
and I feel like that helps to build on, because it's when you mess up, you're correcting yourself and then you're forcing yourself to remember it.
It's in the mind, brother.
Game.
Plant the seeds.
So
fill in the blank.
So what does fill the blank mean, and what does it entail?
The best way I can answer that is that it is whatever you want it to be. There is no rigid format to it whatsoever. The only thing that we contribute to is really just the room, the space, and everything else that's kind of that's surrounding it. But whatever happens here is completely up to the artists, the creatives, and whoever kind of wants to come and contribute to it. The photographers are shooting. Nothing is planned. There's no dress rehearsals whatsoever.
I love that.
We try to have different creatives in the room every time. It's a program that we started specifically 2.5 years ago in October 2022.
Wow. Okay.
And it came from a desire, I would say post-pandemic, but I will go as far as saying that in this city, I think it's something that was needed, just period.
Absolutely.
But post-pandemic was more a gravity area, I would say, where people really needed the community, and we're trying to figure out a way to bring people together.
Bring people,
but do it in a way where it's not surrounded around alcohol, clubs, or any of that, because that's easy.
Type crap. Yep.
Right?
He knows.
I
hate that. I hate it.
He knows.
I'm with you on that.
He gets at me every time. I'm
hate
like, hey, I'm going
shit.
to this party. He's like, you can miss me with that.
And it's not to say that's not needed. I think there's a time for everything. There's a place for everything. But I think for me, what I was noticing was if there's a place and a time for everything, how come this thing doesn't have life? This should also have life, because there's a time for everything.
That's right.
So FilltheBlnk, we started 2.5 years ago, and it's been one of those things where we're trying to combine what it feels like to be a creative that's trying to understand how to build their own community around what they're doing, but also in a way where yourself is catered to.
Okay,
so
you're appreciated in a sense.
What I'm saying,
And it was almost when we were talking briefly, you were you mentioned two words that kind of it gave me the whole kind of outline of what it really is. It was organized chaos.
Yes.
That is so deep, and I'm organized chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Add on to that. What does that mean?
The first person that said that was Savannah Ray.
Okay, the artist.
The artist, yeah. she came in, she's like, yo, like this is organized chaos. Like I love this because like even though a lot of things are happening, you can clearly see that there's an order to like the this or this order.
Yeah.
You know, when she said, I was kind of like, yo, like that's like so on point.
On
you know?
point.
Because even like a thing like everything's kind of like running in my mind because I try my best. I don't want to call myself the host because I'm not the host. I tried to like make it obvious, like I'm not the host. I'm not here to make you feel
being humble. You're being humble.
You know, I'm trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but the whole time in my mind, I'm trying to like make it flow as well. You know, and in my mind, when she said organized chaos, I'm like, that's literally what's happening in my mind when I'm in the middle of it. I'm like, okay, cool, we can do this next, and cool, do this next. You know, and then what's amazing though is that like the organization doesn't really come from me. The chaos comes from me because I'm like,
But it comes from like collectively of everyone putting their pieces together.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
And then,
like it's a beautiful thing to watch. This is like almost watching an artist like Michelangelo doing his art. Or,
that's a good description.
So
Yeah.
how many of these have you done so far?
This is session 17.
17.
Wow.
17 sessions. Each of them is like 5 to 6 hours long.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
within 2.5 years.
Within 2.5
That's
years.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Our goal is actually 28.
28?
Yeah, I wanted to do 9 sessions per year for 3 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
But you know, things will work
That's
out
okay.
the way that they're intended to.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with 17. You
No,
know,
bro, you're making progress. 17. That's
Yeah.
if the first two you said you did like then you're like my goal is to make 10, but now you're past over 10. So you're in the double digit numbers, and it's like
yeah.
the goal was to do 3 months of it. That was the first goal, to do 3 months of it. And now it's like we're going on to 3 years. You know,
That's beautiful.
And the blessing is that like you start seeing, like you may have a vision on something, and you have a vision. The vision is so clear, and then you kind of walk the vision, and then you get to the other side, and you realize like the vision that you had in October 2022 was actually a vision for October 2025. But you don't know that until you get to October 2025. You're like, oh, that's why. Like this thing needed history and it needed, you know.
Yeah.
So the 70 sessions, like it's only now that I'm like sometimes I sit in the sessions, I'm like, whoa. Like if we didn't start this 3 years ago, we would have needed to start it right now. But right now is when it's needed, it would have been like maybe too late.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
And obviously being at session 17, you're building a community.
Yeah.
How important is building a community with FilltheBlnk?
People, planet, profit. That's like my philosophy that I always operate on, with just this idea that like, look, if you take care of people and then you find a way to like globalize the idea of what you're doing through the community, the profit you don't have to like to calculate it in your math. You know, and by profit, I'm not just talking about the money. I'm just talking about like the energy that kind of like the currency. That,
The currency,
you know, that comes out of it. People talk about it. People come. People, you know, it's now it's our point where like, you know, people know more about it and like they're kind of like, yo, we know you're doing a session. I'm like, oh, how do you know? Like we didn't even like blast it yet. You know,
Wow, that's
because it's like the word of mouth is
So
happening.
team's leaking it.
Yeah, teams leaking it. You know? But what I'm saying all that to basically say like community is like very, very important because people are important.
Yeah.
You know, if you can like, even you individually, like if you take the time yourself to say, I'm not gonna go out for like a year, but like I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna hit the gym, you know, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna pray, I'm just gonna take care of myself. Like you don't need to worry about what the world is doing. You're gonna when you're ready and you come out, you're gonna see how much you yourself are just going to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah,
You know, and I think like if we make it our goal where at least once a month we encourage people to be the best version of themselves,
it's
it grows.
The
you know?
sky's the limit at that point, right?
Super
So,
limit.
being a creative, right? I know you have a team, but sometimes it gets lonely.
Fully.
How do you combat like self-doubt or self-isolation? Like, what do you do?
We all have gone to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I able to help you gain muscles?
Possibly.
Possibly, but like that process is still you having to lift. I
You
can't
have-
lift weight.
you
Yeah,
can
in
show
that
me.
regard, yes, of course
You know,
not.
and I think like it's one of those like, especially as a creative, there are certain things that are a necessary process to your growth. You know, you can't avoid it. You know,
Yeah.
you can like push it to tomorrow, but eventually you're still gonna have to like face the fact that like, yo, in order for me to like get to this level where I can lift more weights, I have to be the one to kind of make, you know, like lift the weights, and that part
you
is
got to
like
put
an
in that
isolated,
effort.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And that process is a very isolating thing. And I think like I always tell myself this, like whenever you're going through like what I call like a desert or like a tough time, like observe it for what it is, because it's very inevitable that, you know, if you're going through a desert, maybe your capacity to like go days without water will increase naturally. You know, or if you're going through, you know, to a situation where it's a tough time, your capacity for mental strength will increase. You know, if you go to the gym, and you're lifting weights, your capacity to lift more will increase.
See, it's a good thing that you know that, because some people, that's that self-discipline, right? So, you know, like imagine telling yourself you can't drink water after, you know, just like cold turkey. That it's the hardest thing to do for anybody, right? So it's like, what can people do to kind of, you know, make that transition easier, right? Like, have you ever had to go cold turkey on something? And what did you do? You know, like, was it coffee or was it, you know, smoking or whatever? Right?
I love that question, bro. So there's an anatomy to everything. So everything that, you know, a name, there's an anatomy to like the name Nike, you know. Fill the blank, there's a whole anatomy to it. There's like what you're saying fill the blank.
Right.
But even the way that we spell blank is BLNK. Between you and I haven't told this to anybody, the real name is actually Fill the Blink.
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 I can't, you know what? When from the logo, I almost kept saying fill in the blink.
It's the blank.
And I'm not even
over
joking.
the blank.
It's people say blank, but that's also the intention. That's like the anatomy of right?
I'm not sure why I started thinking that, but when I first read it, I said it to myself. I was like, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
He caught it.
Then I was like, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. I like puzzled, like word puzzles like that.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking at it. I was like,
that's so cool.
Something,
So the logo is an eye with like blank in between. But if you look at it, it looks like an eye that's closed. And the whole idea of like the anatomy behind it is like when you're here, we want to feel what happens between each blink. You know, like you're feeling it. Like these images, you're feeling
I love
it.
even more.
Wow.
You know,
that's deep. That's deep.
But then the other side of the anatomy is the blank, which is like basically an answer to your question. So the way to solve anything, if you're going through anything, so say you're on the other side of the spectrum on something where maybe you're having a tough time, your mind is all over the place, you can try to go from, like, say you're at negative 100. Yeah. You can try to go to plus 100, but you're going to defeat yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Don't try to go to plus 100. Just try to go to zero. Erase everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying like forget everything. I'm trying to say like allow your mind to get to a place where your mind is no longer chatter. You know, it's like I call it like the monkey mind. You know, and it's like a monkey mind with a tail. You know, and it's not a tail like a monkey's tail, but it's a tail with the story that you're telling yourself. It's tails. You know, it's a monkey mind with a tail. So you're telling yourself these stories, these tales, like, yo, I'm not good enough, or I suck at this. It's like, yo, relax. I tell my friend this all the time. Like, when we talk, I'm like, bro, I can cuss on this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I tell my friend this all the time. I'm like, bro, like you'll be complaining about a thing. I'm like, brother, and this is not me telling you this. I'm telling your mind this. I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro.
All day long.
You know, just like stop telling yourself these things, and whether it's true or not. Just go to a place where you go from like negative 100 to just zero.
To just zero.
You know, where your mind is not telling you that you suck. Why is
your
your mind
kind
telling
of grounded?
you?
It's
grounded.
But see, the thing about that too is like, bro, I always say this. We are so quick to self-doubt ourselves and put like we're so quick to say, "Oh, I feel sad." Why can't you say I'm happy?
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to, nothing has to have happened. Just be happy.
Be happy. Feel good in the moment right now.
And a lot of time when I'm in that mood, I try to like reflect. So that reflection of how far I've came, of how far I've progressed, allows me to come to that like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to be sad. I don't need to, right? 100%. So I feel like reflection helps a lot. But what you're saying is that coming to like that common ground first is the perfect center position that you could reset and you can like refocus.
Exactly.
And just tell your mind, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. You know? Like, and even if you read the Bible, like the religious books, like it's actually very interesting because like I grew up as a Christian. You know, my whole family's Christian. They would read the Bible too, and they're like educating you about these stories and whatnot. And now you read it, you're kind of like, yo, I understand what you guys were trying to teach a kid about like the Bible, but now that I'm grown, I'm like, I know what it's trying to say. It's not saying what you're trying to say. You know, it's a whole book trying to tell you. It's a whole book trying to tell you that your mind, you need to make sure that like it's fertile soil.
Yeah.
And the only way to make sure your mind is fertile soil is completely just like
block everything.
Block everything. So to answer your question, the best way to get to the other side where like you can go cold turkey is that you can go to cold turkey, but your initial goal shouldn't be to try to change yourself from negative to positive.
Yeah.
It should just be to go to neutral.
Right.
You know, go blank.
Okay.
So the anatomy of the word, like fill the blank, but it's also
fill the blank.
I
love that. That's just a perfect meaning of it.
Yeah.
Simple question right here. Would you prefer to have more time in your day or fewer distractions?
Fewer distractions. I can do a lot in 1 hour if like I'm in flow state. You know, if I have more time, then I probably just gotta find a reason to fill it. You know? Like I got 25 hours, bet.
More shit to do.
That's funny. Yeah, it's almost on that deep level, provoking kind of thought, right? Because I always say, I wish I had more time in a day. You know that phrase, I wish I had more time. I never have enough time in a day, but we all have the same 24 hours.
That's funny. That's actually a funny question.
Right? So it's like, would you prefer to have more time or fewer distractions?
I'm definitely a fewer distraction type of guy because, like you said, give me an hour, I can tackle. Bro, so far my day from 6 o'clock this morning till right now, I did photos. Jeez. I went to go look to buy something, came here, set up,
packed up, set up, this, that.
Yeah, like all
productive so far, and it's a weekend, so it's like
this guy's productive.
Yeah. So okay, last question.
I gotta run.
I know. Last quick.
Yeah, shoot.
What are 3 things you cannot live without in Toronto?
Oh,
in Toronto?
Yeah. Essentials. 3 must have.
Okay, that's a specific question, so I'm gonna answer it specifically.
Perfect.
I think it's for everybody, right? I'm so grateful that we have a subway system.
Okay, subway, all right.
Subway system. Shout out to the TTC.
I think you're the first one to say subway.
It's simple. It's like, think about it.
No, it's simple. It's like, it's essential.
Yeah.
Like,
very
everyone,
essential.
we need
if we
it.
did not have a subway system, this city would be a mess, especially in the winters, bro.
Oh, yeah.
It's already a mess for the subway.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine if that shit wasn't there, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, it would be awful.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so TTC.
Yep.
And this is attached to TTC as well. Jamaican patties, bro.
Ooh.
Bro.
Which one?
Let me guess, the Scarborough one?
Warden Station or Bathurst?
Here's the thing. I'm originally from Ottawa, so I don't pick sides. You know, like any patty's a good patty to me.
Okay.
Sorry, not any patty, but like any station's a good patty to me. Recently, I've been having the one on Eglinton.
Egg West Station?
Egg West,
Randy's?
Like Young and Eglinton.
Okay. Yeah, I know they have a patty.
In the station.
In the station.
Yeah,
There's like 2 spots like that rival one another.
They
They compete against one another. I'm always like, I'll go one. I'm like, yo, that's good. And the next one, it's good too.
Fair patty.
So patty, TTC patty specifically, TTC Subway.
And then the last one.
I feel like now I have to keep it like very Toronto.
Yeah, well, it's Toronto based. Like, that you must have, or you have to, like, you can't live without.
Can't live without this.
Fam, if this is not everybody's answer, they're lying to the teeth. The CN Tower. That's
a classic.
Bro, you know, when I came to the city, and I know this applies to people, even with people that live in the city. Yeah. If you're trying to get home, just look, where's the CN Tower?
Where's the CN Tower?
Yo, wait,
that's the reference point. Yeah.
That's the reference point. It's
I know how to get home, you know?
Exactly.
You know they almost sold that once. Apparently there was talks of selling it to somebody.
What are you gonna do? Uproot it?
I don't know.
Sell it to
I heard it.
Uproot it, like,
company. Not literally, just the corporation of it.
Oh yeah, like the highway, right? Like,
hey, they can sell it, they can lease it, as long as it's there. I'm happy. As long as I see that little pencil pinpoint, I could be in Hamilton. Oh, that's where I gotta be at.
The best is like the best is like when you're in the middle of like buildings around you, but you just see a peak,
just a little peak, right?
You're kind of like, okay, perfect.
Gotta go in this direction.
Yeah, man.
Those are great answers, man. Appreciate you, Joel. Appreciate you for having us at the FilltheBlnk. We're excited to see how everything unfold.
Appreciate you.
And if you guys would like to tap in with Joel, follow him on his socials. If you want to shout out your
socials. I don't plug my socials whatsoever because I actually don't want y'all to find me. But follow FilltheBlnk.
FilltheBlnk.
FilltheBlnk. Yes,
sir.
Check it out.